So Mark, let's put these in the cup holders. Oh,
that's a problem.
I told you it's got no creature comforts.
What do
You want a surprise? You ready for this? This is the most over-engineered part in the whole car.
Can I put my milkshake in there?
Porsche engineers went to so much trouble to make that.
If you ask a Porsche 911 owner what the best Porsche is, they're always going to say a 911. However, there are a lot of alternatives out there. You've got Boxsters, you've got Caymans, and in recent times I've been able to spend quite a bit of time driving the latest Porsche Cayman GT4s and GTSs on racetracks around Australia and been able to enjoy them and get a really good feel for them. They feel a lot different to the 911, but they're a wonderfully balanced car. What we have here though is something that I haven't driven, a 13-year-old Porsche Cayman, manual, guards red, original poverty pack. I'm really looking forward to trying it on the road here today, and I'm going to take it for a drive. Stu, chuck us the keys.
All right, we're off.
What is the story of the Cayman, Stu?
Well, I'll tell you my history with the Cayman. I'd never been in one, and till I got invited to go in a 6-day tarmac high-speed rally in a Cayman S.
Okay.
So anyway, I went in the rally and it was fantastic. Beautiful car, really well balanced, totally reliable, comfortable. Had a great time. We even
Did you win the rally, Stu?
No, we didn't win. We
wanted to get that in.
We were midfield. We were up against some serious cars. And I liked the car so much, I decided when I came home, I was going to buy one.
So you got one?
Yeah, I couldn't afford a Cayman S, but I just got a poverty pack. In fact, you're sitting in it now, so I've got a very biased opinion. That's why I need you to give me the real deal on what it's really like. But hang on a sec, who are we? Mark is a race driving instructor, whether it's setting lap records in GT cars in Japan or China, or his wins in Formula cars in Europe, or winning the Aston Martin Cup Championship. That's Mark. Me, I'm Stu. I'm not quite so well known, but I've owned and driven some pretty nice cars. I'm also a race driving coach and way too old to be an internet sensation. Together, Mark and I are inCARnation.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right. I mean, the history of the Cayman is very interesting, and a lot of traditional Porsche owners tend to not rate it. I've driven a lot. In fact, I haven't driven one of these until today, but I've driven even just very recently the latest GT4, the latest GTS Caymans.
Yep.
And they in fact are a serious rival for 911. They're a very different car to drive, but they're an awesome car, and their reputation has come up a lot now, and the fact that they're racing successfully in GT4 helps a lot with that. For a 13-year-old car, it's really solid, and that's one thing you expect with Porsche, is just thorough quality of the vehicle. The build quality is sensational. It really stands the test of time.
The question I want to ask you is, does it have enough grunt? Because remember, I came out of the race car, which was Cayman S, which was a 3.4 litre and modified, and I went straight back into this quite a small motor, 2.7, and I would tell you, I was a little disappointed in the power, or mainly the torque.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of torque. You do tend to find yourself shifting gears a lot. You can't really just leave it in a higher gear and let it waft along up the hill. You do have to be up and down the gears a little.
Yep.
But that's okay. It is what it is, and of course it's not the S. As we pull up the hill there, makes a really good noise. I mean, that's that traditional Porsche flat six sound that you get. Woohoo!
Oh yeah. Oh, that sounds great.
So you pull up there to 6,000 revs, it sounds fantastic. It does take a little while to get there, but you know that, because you know it's not an S. It's reflected in the price, and it's reflected in...
It actually goes really well.
And just handles it superbly. It does not handle like a 13-year-old car, Stu, I can tell you that much.
This is really fun. Hey, sometime today I want you to find the limiter. It's a hard limiter at 7. So maybe if you can change it to 6,999.
Yeah.
That'd be good, because you've got the finesse to do that. I don't.
Handles nice through there, doesn't it?
I rev and I go, okay, change the limiter, and go, oh, bang, change. Okay, so 5-speed manual. Later ones came with a 6, just shortly after this. A bit late on the gear change there, Mark.
Yep. Normally shouldn't be changing around a corner, should I?
Pretend you didn't see that.
And like any Porsche you ever drive, the brakes feel sensational. It's always one of Porsche's strong points. The brakes are pretty much better than anything you're going to find anywhere. And even with the Cayman here today, you know, it still feels really, really positive, and it has a really, really nice feel on the brake pedal. For me, actually, you know what it feels like is probably just a more refined, better constructed Lotus Elise. It's got the engine in the correct spot. It's very nimble. I really like the way the car feels. The power steering feels great. It's a really nice weight. Gives you a lot of feedback, and that's the thing I like with a mid-engine car. The gearbox is fantastic, Stu.
Yeah, it's really just slips through like butter, doesn't it?
It's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing Porsche, in my mind, are really, really well known for, and are really above pretty much everyone else, is the way their manual transmissions feel. You just have such an awesome feel, so positive, so direct, and it just feels strong. You know this is a strong gearbox, and you can really drive it hard.
As long as you don't throw it off the mountainside, I'm going to keep it.
You gonna keep it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a keeper. It's just so much fun. Look, these cars are not without problems, as you know. When they came out, and as you know, the 986 Boxster came out in just before the turn of the century, 1998, and that car, totally new design by Pinky Lai, the 996 and the Boxster, and the world said, nah, we don't like it. It's too globby. It looks like the love child of a Hyundai Elantra and an old Carrera. You know, they didn't like the design, they didn't like the switch gear, they didn't like anything. And Porsche said, it's fantastic. You've finally got air conditioning that works. You don't have to sit sideways in the car to drive the thing. The pedals are hinged the right way. It's bigger, it's roomier, it goes faster around the Nürburgring. It's got more luggage space. It's fantastic. And the world just still said, we don't like it. And the Boxster was still a little bit awkward. And for years, people said, can you please put a roof on it, make it into a coupe? Because something about that 986 Boxster looks a little bit gawky.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. It's not for old guys like us with no hair, Stu.
So they finally relented, and it took them 6 years before they released the coupe version that we're in now.
So the Cayman was invented for people like us, right?
So anyway, then Porsche had a dilemma, because now it's made a beautiful coupe sports car when they've already got one. They've got the 911. So they were worried that every time they sold the Cayman, they were going to sell one fewer 911s. So they had to work very hard to make sure these cars were not quite as good as the 911. So when they increased the engine capacity on this from 2.5 to 2.7, and in the S model they increased it from 3.2 to 3.4, at the same time they had to move the 911 from 3.4 to 3.6 to make sure it always got more power, more torque, a bit more everything.
But, you know, it's a very different car. It's a mid-engine car. The dynamic's different. So the car's positioned differently to the 911. And it just works on so many levels. Coupe looks awesome.
Oh. And you know what? This car's not so fast when you get on the gas that it frightens the hell out of you.
Yeah.
You can row it along and actually have fun.
There's a lot of gear changing involved, you know, not a lot of torque, not a lot of power, as we know with the base model Cayman. But the point you made was very good, I thought, Stu. The fact the pedals are set up perfectly, you can heel and toe this car really nicely, really easily.
Yep.
So, you know, there's no need to a fancy auto blip. You can just have a lovely little blip on the side of the shoe with a throttle, make a really smooth downshift. And it does that really nicely. And the pedals are set up great. They've hinged the pedals correctly. Anyone who drives an older 911 from years ago, they do take a little bit of getting used to with pedal setup. It is a car you do need to, you know, do a bit of gear shifting in, but that's not a bad thing. For me, that's what you want in a sports car.
All right, well, why don't you do a bit of gear shifting then? I want to hear some revs. Here we go. Oh, beautiful. 7,000 revs just there, or just under.
You see that really nice heel and toe. The pedals are set up perfectly, so it's a real driver's car.
Yeah. It has got torque, but it's all up high.
It's up high. It's right at the top end of the rev range.
Yeah.
So you do need to rev this car. It's not. It's drivable down low, but there's really very little performance down low on the revs.
We found the limiter. Too fast.
You don't need to rev it up that high because it's flattening out a little bit. So those around that 5,000, 5 to 6,000, the car's really lively.
Yeah. I gather you like it.
I really like the car, Stu. It's such a strong car. It feels great to drive. I love the fact that even though it doesn't have a lot of power, as we know, relatively small engine, not a lot of torque, very little torque, but you can throttle steer the car nicely in a corner. You can adjust the line of the car in a bend by just adjusting your throttle, and that's what I want in a Porsche. You want to be able to feel that happening, and effectively throttle steering the car is a really important thing to be able to do in a car like this, and the car does respond. Even though we're not driving particularly quickly, you can feel those adjustments mid-corner. Works really well on every level. Brakes feel strong. There's a little bit of a downhill run here where we can give the brakes a bit of a go. It doesn't have huge brakes on it. Nice little Brembo calipers, but for what the car is and for the speed the car has, the brakes are really well matched.
Now this particular car has just had a couple of modifications. It's got an aftermarket exhaust, so it doesn't sound like a vacuum cleaner, and it's really given it a nice Porsche wail. And also quite a rough road here. Somebody's modified the suspension. I don't know what shocks it's got in it, but they're a bit stiffer than standard, and they've dropped the ride height an inch, which I actually don't like because it does tend to drag its snout on driveways and things. So I just leave them alone. The cars are so good standard, you don't need to lower them.
No, look, if you're putting the car on the track and using it for track days regularly, probably the suspension package you've got here is really good. But just for everyday road use, and certainly on some country roads that we're on today, you know, it'd be nice to have just a little bit more compliance over the bumps. I love mid-engine cars. For me, it's the right spot. I mean, I love 911s, GT3s of course are awesome, but I still do prefer a proper mid-engined vehicle, like a Porsche Boxster, like a Lotus Elise, like a Ferrari, like a Lamborghini. The engine's in the right spot, the centre of gravity's in the right spot.
All right, well, we've got to find something wrong with it. I know what's wrong with it. It's missing a whole lot of things. It's got no Bluetooth, no GPS, no limited slip diff, no 6th gear, it's only a 5-speed. It's got, what else has it not got? It's all manual adjustment for the seats. The stereo is pretty ordinary, no touch screens. And instrument-wise, you just got a couple of dials, temperature, fuel, tacho, speedo, that's about it. And a basic trip computer. So, look, it really doesn't have a lot of mod cons, but we don't need them, do we? It doesn't need it.
You just don't need that in a car like this, Stu. This car is not about those creature comforts, if you want to call them that. It's about the feel. It's about the sensations you get through the car when you're driving it. This is a proper sports car. Even though it's a little underpowered, it does everything so well. It would probably be kind of nice to have that 6-speed gearbox as well. I think that would just probably help the performance at the top end just a little bit.
You mean by shortening 5th gear because you had a 6th? Okay.
I think so. And it'll just allow you to play with those gears a little more.
Yep. Having them a little bit closer.
Yep.
But then if it had a 6-speed, you'd be changing gear even more, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but that's okay because it's such a great gearbox. The pedals are set up so well. Woo! For me, changing gear is part of the fun of driving a car like this, isn't it? Making a really smooth, sweet gear shift, and you can make a really smooth gear shift with this car.
Mate, I am really enjoying this. I'm not going to sell this car unless you throw it over one of these mountains.
Unless you sell it to me, Stu, I might be a buyer.
Would you buy this car from me?
I would buy this car from you.
Really? The seats are a bit firm.
Seats are good. I think the seats are great. This car, as we know, there's really not that much in the way of stability control. There's some rudimentary stability functions there, but if I snap off the throttle now, the car's going to be smooth. It's not going to do anything untoward. It's not going to bite me. I have to say, Stu, I'm really enjoying having fun changing gears in your Cayman here today. You get so used these days to having paddle shift and just doing all this stuff here with the fingers. It's really nice to drive something a little bit old school, a little bit analog.
All right, Mark, we've had fun, so it's time to do our criteria. The first one is performance. What do you reckon?
So the performance of the car all around is excellent apart from lack of horsepower, but we know that. I could say about 3.8.
3.8? Cool. Personality, what do you reckon?
Well, I think personality or maybe even character with this car. I think, yeah, 4.
Next one's presentation.
I think the street appeal of the car is really good. I'd love to see it sitting in my driveway. It's a car you'd walk by and enjoy every time you saw it, and I think it's got real good appeal on the road generally as well.
I've certainly been surprised how often people have commented favourably on it, rather than just going, "You're a Porsche wanker."
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say that. So what do you reckon, score-wise?
Oh, score-wise, I reckon it's a 4.
Yeah, I'm happy with 4.
Yeah. Practicality.
Yeah, practicality is not great, is it? I mean,
Even though it's got storage up the front and storage at the back.
there's no room in it, but you don't buy this car, to put golf clubs in or take your luggage to the airport, do you? Because it's not going to work for that. So.
Okay, 2. And price. Now, price isn't just purchase price; it's value for money and future investment potential. The whole deal. Whether you think it's good value for money, what do you?
Well, it's great. This car's great value for money. It's a lot of car for the money. At the price point it is now, so you really can't go wrong buying one as a fun car. Investment, it's probably not going to go up much, I don't think. Will it go down much? I don't think so. I think they've probably bottomed about now. So I don't think you're going to go wrong value-wise. I don't think you'll go too far backwards. I think probably about a 4.
Yeah. 4 again. So if you look on the screen down here, look at the score right there. Now these cars are not entirely without problems. There's one thing in particular, is the IMS bearing. It's a part of these water-cooled motors that was peculiar to the Boxsters, Caymans and the 996s. And it was a problem that caused the engines to cost serious money for no particular reason. And it's to do with the lubrication of a bearing called the IMS bearing.
People don't like preventative maintenance, but with a car like this, preventative maintenance is pretty important.
Well, people think because it's a cheap supercar or a cheap exotic car, they bought it for not very much. They don't have to spend much to maintain it.
Yeah.
But look, there's no such thing as a bad Porsche. There's only a badly maintained Porsche.
Yeah, that's very true. Good advice.
There you are. Stu's giving you some good advice. Pay attention.
So that's it. The Porsche Cayman 987, poverty pack, guards red, manual, wonderful driver's car. Could do with a little bit more horsepower, but there is an S version. I've really enjoyed driving the car today. It's absolutely exceeded my expectations on the road. What a fun getaway car to have for a weekend.
Thanks for watching the video. We've got a heap of really interesting cars coming up straight away, so please subscribe to the channel so we can keep producing content. We want to bring videos like this one out every week. See you soon.